Hi Sam. I'm glad you're here today. We have an interesting word to learn.
Mittel.
Hi Alex. What does
Mittel.
mean?
Mittel.
Primarily means means or medium. It's often used in contexts where you talk about methods or resources. The most common usage is when discussing ways to achieve something.
That sounds useful. Are there any false friends with this word?
Yes, good question. In English, middle might come to mind, but
Mittel.
actually doesn't mean middle. So, just remember that distinction. Now, let's dive into the grammar.
Mittel.
Is a neuter noun, so it takes the article.
Das.
The plural form is
Die Mittel.
So it's like the means in English, right?
exactly. In the present tense, we don't conjugate.
Mittel.
Like a verb, but if we were using it in a sentence, you might say,
Die Mittel sind wichtig.
which means the means are important.
What about past forms?
Good catch. Since
Mittel.
is a noun, it doesn't have a past tense like a verb. If we say something in the past using
Mittel.
we might say,
Wir hatten die Mittel.
which means we had the means. Let's talk a bit about where the word comes from.
Mittel.
Has its roots in Old High German, where it was,
Mittil.
and it referred to the middle or the means to an end. The meaning has evolved to focus more on resources and methods over time.
That's really interesting. Words can change so much over time.
They really can. And it's fascinating to see how language develops. Now, let's break down the word.
Mittel.
Itself doesn't have a prefix or suffix, but if we think of related words, we can see some patterns. The root
Mittel.
relates to the idea of being in between or a means to an end.
So it's like a building block for other words.
Exactly. In German, many words are built with prefixes or suffixes. Speaking of similar words, let's explore some. First, there's,
Mittelweg.
which combines
Mittel.
and
Weg.
way and means middle way. Then we have
Mittelpunkt.
which means center point.
That makes sense.
You also have
Mittelstand.
referring to the middle class or small to medium-sized enterprises. Then there's
Mittelmaß.
meaning average.
What about the suffixes?
Well, for instance,
Mittelwert,
means mean value, and it's used in statistics. Each of these words shares the idea of being a means or a medium for something. Now, let's practice speaking with this word. Imagine you're at work discussing a project. You could say,
wir brauchen die richtigen Mittel.
which means we need the right means.
Okay, let me try.
Ich brauche die Mittel für das Projekt.
Great! That means I need the means for the project. Now, let's say you're at a doctor's appointment. You might say,
Ich habe die Mittel, mich besser zu fühlen.
meaning I have the means to feel better.
Ich habe die Mittel, gesund zu werden.
Perfect. That translates to, I have the means to become healthy. Now, let's talk about gender memory hints. Since
Mittel,
is neuter, it's good to remember that neuter nouns often end in like.
Model, Büchlein,
That's a handy trick.
And for compounds, remember that the gender follows the last noun, just like in,
Mittelstand,
where the gender is determined by.
Stand,
Before we wrap up, let's cover some usage notes.
Mittel,
Can be used in both formal and informal contexts. Typical collocations include phrases like,
die finanziellen Mittel,
financial means,
die nötigen Mittel,
the necessary means, and
Mittel zur Verfügung.
means available.
Those are really practical phrases.
Just be cautious with similar words like
Mittel,
and,
Mitte,
which means middle. They sound alike but have different meanings. Let's do a quick recall check. What is the gender of?
Mittel,
It's neuter.
Correct. What is the plural form?
Die Mittel.
Good job. Can you give me a sentence in the past tense using?
Mittel,
Wir hatten die Mittel.
Exactly. How about the meaning of?
Mittelweg,
That's middle way, right?
Yes. And lastly, what's a common collocation with?
Mittel,
Die finanziellen Mittel.
Perfect. So, to sum up, today we learned about the word,
Mittel,
its meanings, grammatical details, and some useful phrases.
Thanks, Alex. I really enjoyed this lesson.
I'm glad to hear that. Keep practicing, and you'll get even better.